John talked about him a little bit, but Emile Andre, now that you're working with him on a day-to-day basis out here, what are you focusing on, and how has he maybe been receptive to what you're working on?
Well, he's added a passing ability. He sees the ice well with the puck. Working on keeping him moving his feet. I thought a few guys got a little bit flat-footed yesterday with the puck and sort of slowed down our attack, and relative to the Boston game anyway. But no, he's an offensive player. He's got to learn to protect himself a little bit. His first game especially took a couple big hits, but he hangs in there, and he's an ultra-competitive guy. So, but at his size, it's hard to keep getting him bounced around. But he's given us a puck-moving ability on the pair with Eric Johnson right now, and it's been help. He can also transport it with his legs, and we'd like him to do that as much as he can.
You want to see him to progress and become a potential power play guy?
Yeah, I mean, he's looked good. I like how he's worked the blue line on that second unit, and that's where he's going to impact the team. He's got that ability to run a power play.
You mentioned that you've seen his passing ability develop. Is that taken a stride from where it was this time last year when he made the team out of camp, you think?
Well, I thought early they came because of poise. So he was confident enough to hold on to the puck and sort of let the play develop in front of him a little bit, then made some great plays off of that. So, the poise is the initial element, and then he's got the ability to make a pass. I thought he made 3 great passes in Boston that I think they all resulted in goal or on chances. So, when you can get it from your goal line to the other team's net that quickly, it's a huge advantage.
We didn't see Nick Seeler out there today, or Travis Sanheim. I know Seeler had the block shot with his hand. Is that for maintenance or
just maintenance? Yeah.
For both guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Expected to be in tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Cobb was just named Rookie of the Month for October. Just maybe from your perspective, since this game so far.
Came out of the blocks flying. You can see he loves to have the puck on his stick. This is an unforgiving league, really tough league, and trying to learn a language, trying to learn how it's played on this size ice surface. I think we all anticipate a few bumps along the road, but for him to come out of the gates that quickly and show what he can do, he's got a knack for east-west, sort of through the top of the zone and finding lanes that I'm not sure I've seen a guy, especially a forward, have that ability. So, he's got a lot to learn as a pro hockey player, but I think it's fantastic that he's come out and made the impact that he has already and shown people what he can do with the puck.
In the defensive zone, why do you John said there was repetitive things yesterday that were causing him to sit a couple of shifts. From watching that one shift, there was a couple of defensive zone mistakes. Maybe there was an offensive zone, where he wasn't playing the high man when guys were low. I mean, why is there such a maybe difference? We talked about how like in the KHL it was different. Why is it so different maybe from the KHL standpoint?
Well, he likes to play on the move, and in this league, there are a lot of elements of the game where stopping and starting is a much more effective way to either defend or check or even set up support offensively. And he's got a tendency to stay on the move, and sometimes that drifts you maybe out of the good ice that you started in. He's learning. I can't imagine how he's like with the language barrier. That alone, his age, he's got a lot of things working against him on that learning curve as far as steepening it. But he's a driven guy. You can see how competitive he is, and there's no doubt that he'll sort those things out and become a better hockey player.
Is that because the KHL is so much bigger that guys move more? Maybe because not all the rinks, but a lot of the rinks are the bigger size. Does that kind of create that like muscle memory of just you have more space?
Yeah, possibly. It's certain guys come out of that league and aren't quite the same. It's just a part of how he's had success playing hockey, and it's hard to change things when you get drafted in the first round, you come in and impact. He wins Rookie of the Month. It's hard to imagine that you have to change that much of your game, but there's elements that he can be so much better at, and then be so much more effective as a player, be more dangerous offensively, and be way more helpful on the other side of the puck as well.
John Tortorella mentioned how he thought you guys used Igor Zuma a little too much as an interpreter. He said he was hoping you guys can get away from that a little bit. So what's it been like now kind of communicating with Matvey, and you feel like he's starting to kind of pick it up?
Yeah, it's been more, more with diagrams and video and kind of that sort of stuff, and much more visual instead of audio. So, I mean, every guy learns in a different way too, right? So, you're hoping that he's a visual learner and that he can, incorporate this stuff into his game sooner than later. Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge for sure. But I think both sides are very willing to work through it and find a common solution. And that's at the end of the day, we're here to help him become a better hockey player and help us win hockey games. So the quicker we can do it and the more efficiently we can do it, then we're all way better off.
Do you have to balance, because obviously you're asking him to make some changes, to the way he thinks, the way he plays, but do you have to balance, maybe not throwing him out of his comfort zone of how he likes to create offense?
Yeah, it's not that much different than Jamie Drysdale. I don't want Jamie Drysdale to become a Kevin Hatcher kind of defenseman that's blocking shots and cross-checking guys. I want him to impact our offensive game. I want him to be efficient in our zone and not spend a lot of time down there, but his best game is with the puck and on the attack. And so we're trying to set Jamie up that way. We're also trying to set up Matvey, where you don't have to defend as much if you check better. You have the puck more. You get to play in the fun zone more. You are helping us win hockey games more. And so I don't think it's an either or. I think we all in this room can identify what Matvey's good at. We want to accentuate that. We want to help him get as good as he can at that. At the same time, layer on other things that he can be effective at so that he becomes more and more valuable and plays more and more for our team and has more and more impact. And that's the process we're in. It's, we're on the absolute ground floor. He's 19 years old. He's, he's going to be a way better player next year. I can't imagine where he is in 5 years, right? Like that's fun to sort of take it into the future, extrapolate out like that. But, he's still almost trying to learn just how we communicate with him. We're 11 games in. It's a blip on the radar screen. I'm excited about where his game goes, but the challenge is, you're right, we don't want to stifle him. We don't want to take away what he's great at. That's why he's a fantastic hockey player.
How's Jamie handling the maybe ups and downs of the season so far? Because 5-on-5 he struggled a little bit, but then we see him on the power play and certain other instances where he's flying around all out there with the puck. I mean, how do you maybe see where he's at in the moment?
There's been good and bad. What I really like about his game is he's more decisive with his legs. He's transporting the puck. He's getting us out of jams with his legs and his eyes and solving plays that way. He's not a big beefy defenseman, so he's got to learn how, against the bigger guys, body position, how are you oriented? We talked about the penalty he took against Anderson. For me, he takes the penalty partially because he's still facing his own net instead of pivoting backwards and actually facing Anderson. And now you have a better chance to not get your stick quite so involved and it doesn't clip him, and we're probably going the other way with the puck instead of killing a penalty. There was a play yesterday where I'd like him to continue to skate forward. He pivots, and so these play selections, how you slot them in, how everybody's got a working database of how they are going to solve different issues. Sometimes it's the wrong play. Sometimes it's just an awareness, just a read. The read was wrong. So if you ask him, what did you see out there, that explains why maybe you didn't like the result of the confrontation or whatever happened.
Was this one on the power play where he was skating up and I think he...
No.
No?
This was 5-on-5. No, it was just more of a rush coverage where he skates forward so well, he could close the guy and finish it off before the red line, then they can't even dump it in. You know, now we're in a transition scenario, and now we get to catch them going the wrong way, hopefully.
Why do you have confidence that eventually he is going to be making the right decisions? Because, you know, some guys, it just never clicks. You know, they maybe just don't have the tools to be able to make the right decision. But it seems like you have confidence he will eventually get to that point.
I'm not sure you can coach if you don't expect the best from your athletes and expect them to get better. I don't know how you do it. I don't know, because I expect that from every guy. I expect it from Sanheim to be better again next game. I loved him last game. I loved Risto, but I expect them. There's still a couple plays there that could be cleaner. To ever get to a point where you're not expecting to get better, I don't think any player ever gets there. And if you do, you're probably thinking about retiring. For me, I'm trying to get them down the right road as fast as possible with the right information so they can execute it as fast as possible. Jamie's a great learner. He asks great questions. He's intent. He wants to learn. And that's sometimes half the battle. The guy that's a little bit aloof and thinks he knows a little bit better, sometimes that's a little bit of a slippery slope. I like Jamie as a young man. I like him as a worker. He cares. When it's not going well, you can see it. I actually think he gets too hard on himself. It's a little too obvious that he's a little bit down or he didn't like the last shift or whatever. Don't tell the other team that, right? Like, body language is a great indicator. Don't sell your hand. Pretend you got the royal flush. They don't need to know you got nothing, right? Like, that's part of that mental side of the game that I think you can get a little bit sharper, a little bit tougher, and a little bit more resilient.
One or two more. Brad, Eric Johnson's is getting close to skating in 1,000 NHL games. You've known him since the early days. What's it like seeing, and he's dealt with a lot of injuries over his career, what's it like seeing him hit this mark now?
Well, I think, it goes back to how you view your players, I guess. It almost feels like parenting sometimes in coaching. And, it hits home when you do the dad's trip and you see all the dads are basically right around the same age. I'm getting a little bit beyond that now with my age, but, for a long time you'd see the dads and they're like right in the same cohort. And a lot of it is how you deal with the players, the ups and downs and the highs and the lows. It's all normal and part of the process. I knew Eric when, he was just cutting his teeth. And for me, I was a fairly young coach at the time as well and still learning the best way to handle certain things, and probably showed him way too much video. I've told a lot of people, I've told him. But at the same time, when Colorado wins the cup and you see him, skating around the ice with that thing, you've had a little bit of an impact on that. And for me, I take a ton of pride in that. I take a ton of pride in the guys that I've played that have gone on to have huge success elsewhere or in the team you leave. And so EJ and I, it's pretty unique that I'm there at the start and then I'm going to be there when he hits that 1,000 games. It's a incredible accomplishment. I mean, even with all the injuries he's had, he's going to get there. And that's a real testament to his commitment and his dedication. And so, couldn't be prouder for him as a player on my team, and then as a guy that I coached as a very young player as well.
The team allowed 9 goals last week and only 1 goal since. Was there any discussion like maybe possibly changing the structure a little bit or getting the forwards to come back more? What did you see out there, the difference?
Well, I think we made a concerted effort to basically check better, have better sticks, have better body position, stay in the battle longer, be a little bit more competitive, work together. Don't get so spread out. We need better support, not just to win the battle, but then to be effective coming out of that battle. I thought we did a fantastic job in Boston. I thought it was night and day to the games before that as far as our commitment, and certain guys really carry the flag for us. Cates's like that every shift. I thought he was spectacular in that game. How many pucks he won, how good his stick was, and what he meant to that win for us there. I thought, we went up against a team that got their boots handed to them, and they came out a little bit harder than Boston did. We're going to face a Boston team that just got their boots handed to them, and there's a lot. It seems to be a lot of turmoil there. At a certain point, Boston's going to figure it out, and we just have to make sure that's not tomorrow. We have to check at the level that we had there on Tuesday, and be as frustrating as we were, and try and keep things going our way as often as we can.